Welcome to the Business of Apparel podcast. This is the place to learn how to start and scale your own apparel brand and fill it with loyal customers for years to come. I'm your host, Rachel Erickson, owner and CEO of Unmarked Street, and I can't wait to share this episode with you. Welcome back to the Business of Apparel podcast. Today was supposed to be an interview podcast. I think I mentioned earlier this year, like in one of our first episodes of 2025, I had kind of mentioned that we weren't going to be on a schedule for interviews or anything like that this year. This was shaping up to be a really busy year, and it has actually gotten even busier. So I'm glad I made the choice that I did, because it allows me to kind of record episodes as needed. And if we find a great guest or we have someone reach out to us that's a great match, like it's easy to slot them in. But it's not something where I felt like I had to be on like an every other week, like we're going to do an interview, because that was starting to get a little bit daunting. It was a lot of extra work. But I will say this week, we did have someone slotted to be on the podcast, and we ended up not being able to fulfill that obligation for you. And what I wanted to kind of do instead was tell you a little bit about why that person has chosen not to come be on the podcast. And it's kind of led me into a space to share some stories with you about people that we have worked with over the last 4 years here at Unmarked Street and the Business of Apparel, in hopes of giving you some insight into how some CEOs are handling their brands in the apparel industry, and in hopes of maybe giving you some warning flags that you can look out for, especially if you're turning into one of these kinds of CEOs. So I'm not going to use real names today. I'm not going to share with you timelines or any of that kind of information. We definitely don't want to badmouth any of the people that we have worked with in the past, or any of our clients or anything like that, because everyone has their own challenges. And if you do any kind of freelancing or consulting, or you've been in that world in any way, like maybe you've had to hire freelancers or consultants, you probably know that there are some like longstanding jokes out there about the clients just always being not exactly what you expected. And that does tend to happen, where as soon as we start getting onboarded into a place, something that we expected or something that we thought was going to be a really beautiful relationship needs to kind of be chiseled away a little bit. And we need to kind of work on that until it gets to a point where it becomes a beautiful relationship. There's always a lot of learning and understanding that needs to be made before we feel like we can get to a point where our clients and us have like really good partnership synergy. And sometimes we're not given all of that time. And if you're a freelancer or a contractor, you might know this all too well, right? Like we get into situations with our clients, and they may have briefed us a project that we feel like we nailed, we had out of the park. This is something that we totally did great. And when we present it to them, it wasn't what they wanted. And a lot of times that comes down to communication, right? Like we just have failures in communication, and either they told us one thing but really wanted something else, and it's just because maybe of a jargon barrier or a language barrier or something like that. Or we maybe interpreted that, they said they needed this, but what we really think is that they need something else. And sometimes, especially when I was a really young, like starting out my freelancing and consulting career, that would happen sometimes, where I was like, okay, they're telling me that they need these kinds of pages in their tech pack, but I know that they need these other pages. And so when I delivered the tech pack to them and it didn't include what they asked for, obviously that was a big red flag. And so there are always good learnings from everything that feels like a failure, or every client relationship that ends up kind of being a breakup, or anything that doesn't quite turn out the way that you wanted it to, or the way that you expected it to. These are all mistakes and failures that can turn into really, really successful learning so that you can do better the next time. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about CEO style. And in the apparel industry, we're starting to see a few patterns, especially now that we've worked with dozens of different clients over the last several years, some being amazing, some of them not so much so, and some of them having expectations that either weren't clearly communicated to us. And so we didn't think that we were going to be, for example, like running their inventory for them and running certain production processes for them, because our contract was all about product development and doing technical design. And so stepping into some of these roles where the expectations change and shift rapidly can be one of those reasons why things tend to get hard. And so I just want to be really, really real with you today. I'm not perfect. Like, we have a lot of experience here at Unmarked Street. Our team is some of the best that I've worked with in the industry. But working with small brands and working with emerging brands, sometimes taking on corporate clients, like, everybody wants something a little bit different and everybody communicates a little bit different. And so today I wanted to bring up, again, like, 3 different CEO styles that I've started to notice patterns in. And I wanted to bring them up today so that you can start to notice if any of these red flags are happening for you as the CEO of your brand or for your business, because we are watching these 3 brands, now that we are no longer working with them, start to fail a little bit. And we've been trying to reach out and kind of re-bolster those partnerships in hopes that they can take the help that we've now learned. Relationships are always worth repairing, in my opinion. And while I never feel like we've burnt any bridges, leaving any of our clients or ending any of our contracts, I do think that there were situations where we could have done better or they could have done better. And so stepping forward into a new positive relationship will probably require some hard conversations. And as the CEO of my company, that's my job, right? Like, absolutely, I need to be able to have those conversations, take it on the chin a little bit if we made mistakes, and then be able to fix it and move forward and create stronger partnerships. So the first person that I want to kind of bring up today, I'm going to call them Andy. So Andy is the CEO of a brand where the kind of red flag warning that we started to see and that has continued to lead him down a really tough path is trying to do too much. And when I say too much, I mean too much in the way of product. He is definitely not a micromanager. Like, he's the kind of person who wanted to be able to hire a really experienced team so that he could remove himself from the product creation process and remove himself from the production process. And he was really, really visionary in that way as a CEO. And I always admired that about him, right? Like, he wanted to be able to step into his own CEO space. He wanted to be the face of the brand. He wanted to be able to promote the brand in a way that he felt really, really proud of. He wanted to help build community and go out there and do all of that kind of work. And I really loved that. But in the last 6 months in which we were working together, he made a decision to go from like a 20-piece product line to a 100-piece product line. And instead of gradually growing over time, which is what we always recommend to everybody, and if you're listening to any small business coaching or consulting or anything like that, or even big business coaching and consulting, they're always going to be out there telling you to start smaller and to grow as you can and not try to rush the process, because that's how brands fail. Like, you, especially in the apparel industry where you have to be holding inventory of items the way that we do it and the way that we work with our clients, you would be so cash poor. And this is also what started to happen with Andy's company, is that he went out and started to develop and create so many styles that his customers and his community that he had worked so hard to build stopped having an understanding of what it was that was important to the brand, right? Like, when you have a very curated 5, 10, even 20-piece product line, you can absolutely step forward and say, we have put all of our effort into this small collection of pieces. We know that this is the collection that needs to fill your closet, and it's going to give you everything that you could possibly need in the way of wearing your cycling clothes, for example. Let's say it's a cycling brand. We know that you need bib shorts, you need jerseys, you need jackets, you need arm warmers, leg warmers, socks. We're going to create all of those pieces in a way that says we made the best possible cycling socks that we made. We made the best possible cycling jerseys that we made. And we didn't make anything else, because that's where we put all of our effort. We put all of our effort in making the best of the best for you. Now, that gives a lot of confidence to your customer that when they're buying those pieces from you, you put in your love and effort, and they're going to be getting a good quality product. When you start to scale too fast and you start to then add 5 times that amount, it confuses your customer. It doesn't say to them anymore that you put all of your love and effort into these key pieces. It says that we just want to grow rapidly. And they stop understanding what it is that's best for them to buy. They don't know what the best fitting garment is in your collection anymore. They don't know what the highest quality is, because you're offering so much to them and it's giving them decision fatigue. They aren't clearly understanding what it is that you stand for. And so instead of buying something and hoping that it's the right thing, whereas in the past they could buy something and know it was the thing that you put all of your effort into, now they're just not buying it all and they're walking away. And so this is the trouble that we started to see. And we were giving Andy some advice to not do this. We were telling him to really pare down the line. Not only was it going to be a customer and a marketing issue, and now you have to do these huge photo shoots, and now you have to spend so much money on development and all of these extra things, and on inventory and hiring a marketing team to handle all of this extra stuff. Not only that, but it was creating such a bottleneck for the work that we were doing for him too in the way of development, right? Like going from 20 styles to 100 styles mean that we need a lot more hours. We need to be able to do a lot more work on all of this stuff to get it right. And without wanting to raise his budget for any of that stuff, or without feeling like he could, it started to become a serious issue of us not being able to execute the work to the level that we wanted to be able to execute that work to. And so by him making the decision to add so much to his line, and us kind of having to tell him, like, we can't keep doing this work at this level. If we're not willing to go a level up or to renegotiate our contract to do all of this extra work, like then we're not going to be able to stick around and stay, because it's not fair to us. It's not the contract that we signed. It's not the work that we promised to do. We don't actually feel good about doing this level of work because it's not at the quality. We're like rushing through things. We're making poor decisions. We're trying to do everything urgently. Like it just doesn't work that well. And if we're going to put our stamp of approval on it as, Unmarked Street helped product develop these styles, which isn't always advertised, but in our hearts, we know that it's there. Like we didn't feel good about that. And so we actually encouraged him to go find a new team, which he did. And for better or worse, like we were not taken off of all of the emails, which we've been trying to work on. We've been trying to get all of that stuff out of our inboxes, out of our space. Once we move on from a contract with a client, we definitely give all of their files back. We remove them from everything that we're doing. We don't really want to be on emails anymore. We don't want to really see the ins and outs of what they're doing, because that just feels uncomfortable for us. Like we don't want to be in the know on things if we're not signed on a contract with somebody, right? So we make sure that we give all of that back. We have no more visibility into what they're doing, because we don't want to be liable for any of that information. And that's all included in our contracts, right? Like as soon as we end a contract and we terminate a relationship with anybody, like we give all of that information back. Their files are theirs. We've done all this work for them. They own it. And we don't even get visibility to it anymore. Unfortunately, though, we have kind of heard and seen that things are really, really slowing down for them in a point where they should be probably approving some things to production. They haven't even seen first protos yet. And so we're just feeling really frustrated by that whole situation. I think we feel really, really bad, and we feel a little bit responsible that we couldn't get Andy to understand why we were giving him the information that we were giving him, and we couldn't help change his mind about the line that he wanted to proceed forward with. He had been soliciting some advice from different people. He and I had a really frank conversation at one point where he, just flat out said, like, I've been asking a ton of different people for advice, and the advice that I've been given is to get rid of you guys because you don't think I should be doing more product. And at the end of the day, that was kind of the catalyst for me to say, like, yeah, we want to do what's right for you. And we know what's right for you is to not add all of this product right now. And so that was actually the day that we decided to kind of part ways, because if he continues to get all of this advice and he's listening to other people and they all keep saying like they're not supporting you because they don't think you should be, ramping up your line from 20 to 100. And we felt very, very certain that that was the wrong move. And I still feel very certain that that was the wrong move. Then it wasn't going to be a good relationship as we move forward. So that was a really hard decision, and it was a good relationship until it wasn't. And I just want to kind of put it out there that unfortunately, we can probably predict that a couple of key things that were going to be happening for Andy and his brand this year are not going to be happening. Now, we had visibility to this before we even left, but again, there's just a lot of guilt there. And I'm just going to put that out there. There's a lot of guilt on my side that we weren't able to help him see or understand. I feel like we tried to do as much work as we possibly could. Like we did an entire business review for him, did an entirely new business plan for him. Like we helped him look at all the financials, look at all the inventory, understand the numbers, and it just wasn't taken seriously. And so we unfortunately are probably going to watch some things deteriorate over there. And it just makes me really sad. And so if you're in a position where you're starting to think about scaling too rapidly or adding more, so much more to your line, I want you to understand that simple is always better. And I'm actually listening to the book right now, 10x is easier than 2x. And in order to 10x your company, the principles are actually to remove what isn't working and to do less and to simplify and to only focus on the things that are going to grow and scale your business faster and better, not to be doing more, not adding more product until you're ready. And so, anyway, I just want to throw that one out there that if you're thinking about doing a ton of new product, I don't want you to put yourself in the same situation that Andy did, because we unfortunately are going to see some really sad things, I think, by the end of this year about his brand. And hopefully we are crossing our fingers that it won't be a closure of his brand, but I know for sure that there were a couple of really positive things that were coming through as we were doing work with him, that those kind of projects and contracts have been broken. And so those positive things are probably not going to happen, and it's going to be a reputation issue for him. So that was one style of CEO that we've seen where, even as inspiring as Andy was to want to step into a CEO role and want to have a good product team on his side, his decision to scale too quickly and bring on a team who wasn't going to do what was in his best interest and only do what he told them to do can be a really tough way to be a CEO and to move forward with your brand. And so if you're noticing yourself wanting to add too much too fast, I've been here in my business too, right? Like building the business of apparel, like for a while, we were so focused on building new tools and templates and courses and everything that we could possibly get out. And we were doing more and more and more. And now we're starting to scale back and say, like, we are going to do one thing really, really well. And we are going to get information and support out to brand owners in a way that's scalable and in a way that allows us to reach more and more people who need help in a much bigger and better way. That is the one thing that we are going to focus on as we move forward as a company. And so because of that, like, I just want to say, like, I've been there before too, and it feels hard to let go of all the things that you think are going to help your brand by adding them, but it's just not going to get you there. And so that was one brand of CEO that I just wanted to kind of red flag warning you on. If you're noticing that in your company, you might want to rethink what you're kind of doing as the CEO. The second CEO style that I kind of wanted to chat through today was someone who I'm going to call Kathleen. Now, Kathleen was someone who was incredibly, incredibly intelligent. Working with her was such an amazing experience, and she had such an also good vision as a CEO in building community and providing product for a really underserved market. But when it came down to it, Kathleen was just not good with her money. Are you sick of being stuck on the sidelines of the apparel industry and you just want to be put in the game? Then join our 100% free workshop, Secrets Behind Billion-Dollar Apparel Brands, and learn the strategies, tactics, and secrets used by the most successful companies in the world. We'll cover everything from setting your brand standards to big brand line planning and executive level processes. In this workshop, you're going to learn how to name your target customer, rationalize your line, calculate product margins, roll up your revenue, and see potential profits while figuring out how to build a unique calendar for your brand. You're going to learn that and so much more. Are you ready to take your apparel business to the next level? Sign up today and use code PODCAST for a 10% discount on the full Business of Apparel online course or any of our mini courses after the workshop. Visit www.thebusinessofapparel.com/secrets to register. Don't miss out. Understanding all of the different ways in which you as the CEO need to be dividing up your budget honoring certain things inside your budget, understanding how expensive inventory is going to be, understanding that it's a priority to make sure you pay your team on time if you're going to be hiring team. And also kind of understanding that it takes a few years sometimes to be able to pay yourself as the CEO. And sometimes we have to hustle and grind for a few years, working a couple different side jobs or staying in our 9 to 5 while we build the company of our dreams, just so that it can at least start paying us. Like, those are the kinds of things that I think is really hard for people to accept when we start stepping into a CEO role. Like, we want to feel like we're supporting our team, supporting ourselves, doing all the right things. But if you're not smart enough with your money to have like a very clear cash flow spreadsheet, like, what am I spending this week and this month? What am I making this week and this month? Am I going into the red? Am I going into debt? How am I handling that? Do I put things on credit cards? How can I pay off that credit card? Am I getting business loans? And if so, what is that payment that I'm going to have to pay every month? And can I make sure that I pay it? If I can't afford my team members anymore at the scale that they're here, how do I either reduce their hours or change things up a bit? Or do I need to start letting some people go? It was really, really tough to try to get her to a place where she understood that her books needed to be cleaned up. And I think this is one of the reasons why entrepreneurship is so hard and not everyone does it, right? Like, there's that saying, if it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. And it is hard. It's hard to be the CEO. It's hard to balance your budget. It's hard to figure out how to pay for everything and to hire your team at the right time and make sure their salaries and their contractor fees are paid on a regular basis. It's hard to not pay yourself and to feel like you're putting in all of this effort all the time. You're the head of a brand and you're not making a single penny, maybe until year 3, maybe until year 5. And that is really, really hard to grasp and understand. But if you do not get a grasp on your finances, your business will not survive. Bankruptcy was something that Kathleen had to file for, and she is no longer a brand. This was one of the saddest things that we've had to experience here at Unmarked Street in the business of apparel, because she was someone that we were really, really cheering on, someone that we wanted to see succeed in droves. And it just didn't matter how often we tried to help her with her books. She wasn't doing the actual work to make the changes. And at the end of the day, when you're working with a coach or when you're working with a consultant, if you're not asking them to do XYZ for you, that means that you either need to hire someone to do that work in addition to them, or you need to be doing it yourself. And I just never feel comfortable owning the books of any of our clients when it comes to financials, when it comes to writing purchase orders, when it comes to handling anything that has to do with their money. We typically take a really, really big step back. We can give advice and we can help advise on like what a PO should look like and what the roll-up is fully going to be. And we can look at the books and say, this is what we recommend that you do. But at the end of the day, I'm not an accountant. I have my own accountant. I have my own CPA. I have my own bookkeeper. Like, I rely on them to even do my own books. Now, I can look at all the numbers and I can give advice and I can understand it. But at the end of the day, that is not my expertise. So it's not something that I'm physically going to be doing for my clients. And if they don't feel that our advice is helpful enough to be able to execute against it, then there's not always a ton that we can do in some of those situations. So that one was a really, really sad one. So in addition to being a CEO like Andy, who wanted to add too much too fast, we've also worked with CEOs who just couldn't quite get their financials right. And financials in the apparel industry are hard. I am not going to deny that. We've put a lot of information out that if you want to start a really, really healthy apparel brand, be it $1 million by year 6, be exponentially into the 10 millions and more by year 11. Like, if you want to build that kind of a company, you probably need to save upfront a good $200,000. And it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to save. I know it is, but it's not a joke. Taking on this kind of inventory, being able to hire the team members that you need, being able to build a successful company that you want to see grow into the millions and help you build the dream life that you have costs money. Holding inventory costs money. Having a team of experts who can build great product for you, help you market it, and help you sell it costs money. And if you don't understand how to read the financials of all of that, how to put together a profit and loss statement, how to understand your cash flow, you need to hire someone who can understand and help you with all of that work. And then taking the advice of the experts who are out there and telling you, you right now you're taking 50% of what you're making and you're paying yourself with it, and you have no money to put back into inventory. So when you write your next PO, you're already in debt. Like, how many business loans are you going to have to take out for that? How much money are you going to have to put on credit cards for that? What is your plan to pay all of that off? What does it look like to actually sell all of that inventory? Can you put some cash into your pocket by selling all of your inventory on clearance or on sale? I know that's not ideal, but let's try to figure out cash flow here. And if you can't take the time, or you don't want to take the time to do those kinds of things, you will probably not see your business succeed either. So that was another red flag CEO style that I just want to put out there. If you're not looking at your numbers and your books at least weekly, I look at my numbers and my books every single day. I know what's coming in. I know what's going out. I know what it costs to hire my team, to pay my team on time. I know what it looks like to get client payments late. I know what it looks like to have all of that be worked into my budget. I know exactly what my credit card balance is. I know what my plan is to pay it off. All of that stuff is super important to me. And if it's not super important to you, then you need to either have someone on your team who can help you understand how important it is and help you work all of those numbers, or you need to probably consider consolidating your debt and figuring out how to get out of your business, because you're just going to continue to spend more and more and more, and you're just going to send yourself down a spiral that you don't want to go down. So don't be that kind of a CEO either. The third CEO that I want to talk about today, we're going to call Justin. And Justin is a micromanager. Now, Justin has worked really hard to build his company. He's been a solo CEO, solo entrepreneur, solo brand owner, solo doer. He's been doing a lot of everything himself for the last 5 years. And only recently has he had the desire to kind of start stepping back into a different kind of role at his company. And he has started hiring some people. And luckily for him, he's done so well over the last 5 years working solo and being scrappy and getting shit done and making good product that he's been able to hire some really good people. The issue with being this kind of a CEO, especially as someone who understands your own brand and how to make your own product really, really well, but doesn't understand how other companies might work or how the apparel industry functions in general, outside of your own company, it can be really, really hard to bring in experts who do know all of that stuff and just give them all of your trust right away. And that's the situation where Justin is finding himself in. He is micromanaging people who have decades of experience more than him. He is burning people out like crazy by doing all of this micromanagement. He is stressing people out. He is already starting to see a tremendous amount of turnover. People who he brought in who decided that they weren't going to really put up with that bullshit and are leaving. And turnover, I know I've talked about this before, turnover is one of the highest expenses that you will have at your company. And so the lower that you can keep your turnover rate, like if you can keep your employees happy and keep them staying at your company for years and years, that is going to be one of the most lucrative ways to save money and to eventually grow your business. When you have people leaving left and right, when you're firing people, when they're quitting, when you're laying them off left and right, and you just can't keep people on your books, those are unforeseen expenses that end up costing you so much more than just the dollars and cents on your actual financial budget. They say that it costs anywhere from 2 to 3 times someone's salary to actually replace that person once they leave. So if you've hired an expert, someone who's been in the industry for decades, and you're paying them $100,000, when you think about having to replace that person, go through the interviewing process again, bring in another expert, retrain that person, re-onboard that person, the stats basically show that it could cost you anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 over the lifetime of bringing on that new employee to have had replaced the first person who was there. The stats aren't quite as high for hourly employees, usually because you have hourly employees in to do different kinds of things than you would salary employees. but it can cost you anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 per hourly employee that ends up leaving your company. And so again, that goes into the time that it takes you to have to re-interview, rehire, re-onboard those new people that you have to see and bring in to replace the people who left. And so when you start to experience a ton of turnover at your company, you really need to look at yourself as the leader, and you need to start questioning whether or not there are things that you could do better. And if you find that you are micromanaging every little bit of everything, you might want to take a big step back and realize that you've hired experts. You've hired people to come in and do what they're best at for a reason. You want them to be experts in their field so that they can take those things completely off your plate, and they understand them so much better than you ever could because they're the experts in it. For example, like I just hired a marketing team. I just brought on a new marketing team. I am so glad to be having marketing advice. I've been doing my own marketing for about 6 months now, and it has been a grind. Now, I've been learning a ton about marketing. I'm pretty happy with what I've been able to produce over the last 6 months, but I feel so much weight off my shoulders to now have marketing experts on my team giving me advice on what we can do better, putting a strategy together. I feel like I'm not just flying by the seat of my pants. I'm not just being scrappy. And if they tell me that I need to slow down or do something differently, I am listening to them because they are the expert, not me. And now as the CEO, I can, of course, give my opinion and give my advice because I might want things to look a certain way or to sound a certain way. And I want them to grasp the voice of our company and grasp my voice and understand how we want to be portrayed in the world. But once they understand all of that information, it's on them to go execute as the experts that they are. And I just want to be able to give them more and more over time as we grow as a company. And if you're the kind of CEO who wants to have your fingers in anything, like if I had hired this marketing company and then I also said, well, I don't love the cover reels that you created for these first 12 days of content, I'm just going to do it myself. Like, what the hell am I doing? That's such a waste of my time. That's so degrading to them. Like, let's talk through what I do and don't like about it so that they can improve it and then have that improvement as we go forward into the future too. Those are the ways that you need to be a CEO and step up and have good conversations and then let your people lead in what they're experts in, not take things off of their plate and do it for them because you believe you're the only ones who can do it. You believe you're the only person who can possibly do this right. People are telling you what they recommend that you do, and you tell them, no, you're going to go do it a different way. Like, for how long are you going to be the CEO that micromanages and insists that you know better than people who have been doing it for decades and decades? Now, I'm not saying you don't have easier or scrappier or better relationships with your vendors or anything like that. And those are things that we can leverage as the CEO that you are. And you can step in and help with those kinds of things. But it is not your job anymore to do those tasks. And so if you keep putting your fingers into it and inserting yourself in places where you're just going to be annoying people and offending people and degrading people by telling them that they don't know what they actually do know, you're going to have a really hard time keeping them on your staff. You're also going to burn people out so fast. Like, I have seen people at Justin's company who have been there for only a few months, and just like the look on their faces, they're just already so stressed. They're already so burnt out. They don't even know if they're going to be able to stay for an entire year because like they're losing weight and they can't eat and they dread coming into the office. Like, what kind of a place is that? Is that the kind of company that you really want to build? So if you're any of these kinds of CEO types and you find yourself migrating into any of these bad habits, I want you to just take a moment to recognize the warning, see the red flag, see it in yourself. If you don't have a business coach or a CEO coach or someone helping you understand how you can step into that role better, I want you to go ahead and reach out to us. We are building an annual membership right now. This is the one thing that we're committing ourselves to doing, is to helping as many apparel brand owners become amazing fucking CEOs. That's it. We're going to help you and as many brand owners as we possibly can step out of that startup, that fashion founder role, that scrappy, I don't know what I'm doing, I can't figure out next steps, I don't know if I'm stepping into the right CEO space. We're going to help you do it. That's our big goal. And we're going to do it until we reach as many people as we possibly can, because we know that people need help. These 3 clients that we've worked with put out like an era of success. They're successful brands. They already have lines out. They've already been building community and selling inventory for years. These are people that look like they have their shit together. And when we start working with them and we start pulling away the layers of the onion, we realize that there is still so much that we can help with in the way of helping them step into their better CEO space. That is a different definition for each person. Some CEOs want to remain as like the creative director of their brand. They want to be in that role. Some CEOs want to go sit on the beach while everybody is doing the work for them, and they can reap the rewards of that. They want their businesses to run without them. And then there's everything in between. And so we want to help you step into the CEO role that you foresee for yourself, so that you don't fall into these traps. And if you are starting to experience any of these red flag warnings, we can help you get out of them. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more, head over to thebusinessofapparel.com/the-board. The board is what we're calling our annual membership, because we see this as your board of advisors and your C-suite that you basically get to put on your books and into your company immediately by joining this membership. And so we know that the help that you're going to get from the other members, the help that you're going to get from us, the learnings that you're going to get, and all of the different templates and tools that we're going to be giving you are going to help you succeed in a space that is very, very difficult to succeed in. And we can't wait to meet you and have you come in. Now, if you go to thebusinessofapparel.com/the-board, and I know that's a difficult one, but it's THE-BOARD, that's after the slash, you will find that we'll be inviting you, because you are listening to this podcast, we're inviting you to a very specific case study, which is 40% off the full price of the membership. So because you are a podcast listener and we want to say thank you, please head straight to that website where you can watch a little video about how it works, and then let us know if you're in. You can reach out to us on Instagram. Go to Business of Apparel. That's our handle on Instagram. And just let me know that you're in. And we can't wait to help you succeed, help you step into that CEO role that you know you can embody. So we can't wait. If you liked this episode, please leave us a review and let us know all about it. You can leave comments on our YouTube channel. We love to hear from our community. Thanks so much for listening to me today, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Business of Apparel podcast. I would so appreciate hearing your thoughts on the show. And if you know someone who could benefit from it, please share it with them. My biggest desire is to help other apparel professionals understand the nuances of our industry so we can all work toward making better product for a better world. If you would like to connect further, I love to invite you to send me a message through my website, thebusinessofapparel.com, where I do weekly trainings through my YouTube video channel, a weekly newsletter, blog articles, and so many more resources to help you start and scale a profitable apparel brand. This podcast is produced by Box 7 Media, who I cannot speak highly enough of. If you're looking to start your own podcast, you can reach out to Jeremy at Box 7 Media on LinkedIn anytime.